As someone who's worked in Wall Street and finance for over 7 years, this is one of the easiest strategies to budget and save money so you can build a better financial future for yourself. Step 1, and this is something that many people forget about, but it is by far the most important aspect to remember, and it's that personal finance is personal, which is why the first thing you need to do is to know your why. Like, answer the question, why do you want to get better with your money? Most people are just gonna say, I wanna be rich, but who doesn't? If you really want to be able to manage your money, you need to go way deeper than that. Because the truth is, when it comes to personal finance, there will always be times when you want to give up. But it's your why that's going to keep you going. Like for me, for the longest time, I thought the same exact way 90% of people think. I believed that my path was already laid out before me because that's what society made me think. That I would essentially just work until I die or retire, whichever one came first. But one day, while I was going through Reddit, I came across this term called financial freedom, and I just had a moment of relief. I learned that I didn't need to work for the rest of my life. I didn't always need to work for money. Rather, I can make my money work for me and build the freedom to work when and where I wanted. And this is what convinced me to take personal finance more seriously and really dig deep into it. And sure, it was definitely a struggle in the beginning. Like, I missed out on some parties with friends, some adventures, I never bought a fancy car or a fancy watch, and yeah, it was really hard, but it was my why that kept me going, and now I'm doing pretty well for myself. So maybe you want to buy a house, maybe you want to travel the world, or you just want to retire at 35 or 45 instead of 65. But this is all only possible if you learn how to effortlessly manage your money with this strategy, and if you have a strong why. So once you have your why, the easiest way to manage your money is to stop treating your personal finances as personal. And hear me out. So I like to run my personal finances like a business, because the main objective of every business is to make a profit, which is what you want to do. But just imagine a business trying to make a profit without tracking its income or knowing what's happening to their money. It's like trying to throw a dart in the dark. 99% of the time, you're just gonna miss every shot. The problem is, that's how most people run their personal finances. They don't keep track of anything. They might try to do some mental math, like they'll think that, oh, I'm making $3,000 a month, I can definitely afford this $500 watch. But they forget that they already said that 5 times earlier in the month, and then they wonder why they can't save anything. So businesses have many different financial statements, and for this case, we're only gonna be focusing on 2 of them. First is the cash flow statement. It sounds really technical and fancy, but the concepts are pretty basic and straightforward. To get started, just open up a Google Sheets file, and this is where we're gonna do all the work. Now you could just follow along and create your own Google Sheets, or you can just download mine for free down below. Okay, so the first thing we want to focus on is this income section here. It's broken into 2 columns, income types and amounts, and all you really want to do is just plug in your monthly income. Basically, it's any money that you might have coming in each month. This can be your salary, an hourly wage, your dividends, your pensions, or social security, or whatever. And this is showing your total income for that month. I'll plug in $3,500 for salary, $200 for interest income, and $150 for dividends. So in this case, my total income is $3,850. Then move on to the expenses section. And I think this is something that many people overlook, but it is by far the most important aspect of finance. Like, I have friends who are making 100K, 200K, even 300K per year, and they're still broke and struggling because they miss out on this part. The reality is, it doesn't matter if you're making $100,000 a month or $1 million a year, this step is crucial. The best way to think about it is just imagine you're going to be jumping from a plane and you have a parachute, and for some reason, there are holes in the parachute. And if you use it, it's just gonna be ineffective and you're gonna fall straight down. You need to be able to locate each hole in the parachute before you can plug them up. When I first did this, I realized that there were just a lot of expenses that I didn't think about or I completely forgot about. Like, what the heck is this extra payment on my credit card bill? And it just turns out it's that HBO subscription that I signed up for years ago to watch House of the Dragons, and I told myself I was gonna cancel once I finished the season, and I've been paying that for years because I forgot. And ladies and gentlemen, that is why this step is so important, because you're forced to be faced with the numbers. So expenses is split into 3 columns: expense type, amount, and category. Let's just focus on the first 2 columns now. We're gonna revisit category a bit later. And speaking of expenses, if you wanna learn the best way to effortlessly save money, be held accountable, and have a structured savings plan, I'm hosting the largest free 5-day savings challenge on October 1st called the $1,000 Savings Challenge. It's completely free to join with the link below. We had thousands of people in our last one and everyone found it really helpful. So whether you're saving for a dream vacation, a down payment, or an emergency fund, sign up for the $1,000 Savings Challenge, link below. And again, it's completely free, but space is limited. So if you click on the link and it says it's no longer available, then unfortunately we've already reached capacity. Okay, so fill out the expenses from your credit card, your bank statements, your cash payments, etc. Let's just say rent is $2,500, electricity $100, internet $100, dining out $450, and let's say I went on vacation this month and it was $400 for airfare and $300 for accommodation. And I know this sounds really tedious, but this little bit of work can literally be the difference between you saving thousands of dollars or not. Once you're done, in the cash flow summary, you're gonna see your total monthly income and your total monthly expenses. And here's the most important part. This is what every business focuses on, the net amount. Ideally, you wanna see a positive number here, meaning that you have a cash flow surplus and you have more money coming in per month than you have expenses. That's a good thing. But as you can see, that's not what we have here. The reality is many people are gonna have a negative number, or maybe it's 0, especially when you're first starting out your personal finance journey. It's okay to be around 0, but you wanna try to get this number as high as possible within reason. If it's a negative number, that means it's a budget deficit, and that's not great. If that's you, do not worry. That's why we identified all the holes in the parachute, and that's what we're gonna patch up now. So go back to your expenses, and now we'll focus on the category column. And now what you wanna do is just label each expense as a need or a want. A need is an expense that you are obligated to pay, even if you lose your job, like rent is a need, groceries is a need, phone is a need. A want is something that isn't absolutely necessary to survive, like dining out, airfare, or accommodations. When you actually go through everything, just looking at your finances this way can be a bit shocking. Like, why did I spend $15,000 on just pineapple pizza from Domino's? Yeah, you might be airing some dirty laundry. There might be a few skeletons in the closet, but it's all good, okay? We're all starting fresh. Once you're done filling that out, this chart should populate next to it, which gives you a better view into your spending. At this point, we want to make sure that our needs take up a bigger portion of our expenses than our wants, because if wants are higher, then that's something you want to take care of. But regardless of which one is higher, your goal at this step is to eliminate or at least reduce as many expenses categorized as wants as possible and try to get your cash flow into a surplus. The trick is to run these numbers every single month until you develop the habit of spending less and getting a budget surplus with your finances under control. Which sounds great and really motivating, but you're probably gonna give up in a month or 2. Listen, I already know it. You probably feel really motivated to start right now, but you're gonna be discouraged and afraid to run your budget after a while because you don't wanna face the reality. The credit card bills, the student loans, the car payments that you owe. For instance, the average net worth for millennials is negative until their 30s because they're under a massive amount of student debt. So there's a good chance that you're often gonna feel like, what's the point? If you save $200 a week, how is that going to help? And the truth is, it's not. It's not gonna help much right now. And I think this is the mentality that causes people to not want to take control of their money earlier on. They don't see the advantages in the short term because there really isn't that many. But the strategy is to shift your way from thinking in the short term and instead focus on the long term, on the horizon of 20, 30, 40, 50 years into the future, where that money that you're saving right now has time to grow. Don't look at money as a way to just buy physical things, and instead start looking at money as a way to buy time and freedom. What helped me make this shift is with the second business financial statement, a balance sheet. What this does is basically track your overall wealth progress, like your net worth, and seeing this progress really changed how I approached everything. Again, you can get this for free from the link below, it's the same file. So basically what you wanna do is every month, you update all of your assets, which is basically anything of value that you own. Whether that's your cash, your stocks, your investments, your real estate, then you'll see your total amount of assets here for that month. Now you're gonna go down and you're gonna fill out your liabilities. These are the things that you owe money to, like your credit card debt, your car loans, your student loans, it's all gonna go here. Once you're done with that, we're taking all of our assets and subtracting liabilities from those assets to give us our total net worth for that month, which you can see in this graph here. This shows where you stand for your net worth over time, and this is what helps me a lot. Being able to work towards consistently growing this, it forces me to look at the bigger picture, and it makes me want to save and invest more money to make this chart go up. But the most important part is to set net worth goals. Maybe your net worth is 30K right now, and you think, okay, right now I'm saving $200 a month, maybe. You can start saying, well, I want to increase this to $300 a month. So by the end of the year, I can increase my net worth to $33,600. This is just an example. I would rather you set even bigger goals because, as Norman Vincent Peale once said, shoot for the moon because even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. And just keep in mind, your net worth is not always gonna be going up. There's gonna be times when it goes down. Maybe you went on vacation or you bought presents for people. It's okay to see it dip every so often, as long as in the bigger picture, it's going up. Reminding of yourself of your why and just focusing on the bigger picture and the bigger goal will motivate you to keep budgeting and tracking because you're either gonna do one of two things. One, you're gonna actually fix the problem and start increasing your wealth, or you're gonna stop using the budget and just totally not think about it anymore. And then your net worth is gonna start falling. Which leads me to something that you've got to start accepting. And it's that even if you're trying your hardest to be better with money, sometimes you might still feel like you're still not doing enough. And that might be because you don't know the 10 things you should never waste money on. Click here to learn the 10 things you need to stop buying immediately.